It's an honor to have the legendary Christo here with me in our first episode. And actually, it's also an honor for you because usually we would do that in German, but just for you, we did it in English.
Mm,
Because I guess you don't speak German yet.
I do not
So,
yet.
Chris is an Emmy Award winning designer, director, CEO, and chief strategist of Blind, and the founder of the Future, an online education platform with the mission of teaching 1 billion, yes, you heard it right, 1 billion people how to make a living doing what they love, which is quite a nice mission. He not only has more than 300,000 followers on Instagram, but incredible 230,000 connections on LinkedIn, which, fun fact for you as well, maybe, would make you the third biggest LinkedIn influencer in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yes. His channel, The Future, has almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Thanks for being here, Chris. It's an honor.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So there are three reasons I desperately wanted to talk to you. First one is that you
Okay.
already achieved what I kind of just started, creating a brand by putting out a lot of high quality content. And let me tell you, you do a great job there. That's how I found you, basically. Second reason, I think you're a really nice guy, not only in videos, but also in real life. The reason that, that you agreed on having that podcast, which is the first podcast, and I mean, you don't even know that you get a lot of reach. I promise you will, because I'm quite big on LinkedIn and I'm growing quite fast. Says a lot about you, because I think most people wouldn't do that. And so I think you must be a nice person. And the third reason, I think we share the same belief that content marketing is the key to success. So in all honesty, Chris, and that's my first question, did you always have the belief and confidence that putting out a lot of content will make it worth it, or did it happen over time?
Yeah, I want to step back and I just don't want to limit it to content because my life philosophy has been guided under this principle that if you do more good in the world, good will come back to you. And if you do evil in the world, eventually it gets back to you too. So maybe this is like karmic equity or something like that. So since I was in college, I've done the best that I could to try to help as many people as I can while not doing harm to myself, because you can go down that trap too. And that's the balance. Initially, what I do is I just create content to try and help people. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher to as many people as I can. And later on, that started to feel like content marketing. But really, if you watch most of our videos, it's just really trying to give generously without any expectations.
You just said without doing harm to you. Could you get a
Yes,
bit more deeper into that? Because that's quite
sure.
interesting to me.
Yeah. So what happens is you start to lose yourself when you say yes to everybody and every opportunity that comes in through the door. You start to like not find your own direction. So you get pulled in every single direction. A boat without a rudder can spin around in circles, and it could feel like you're making progress, but you're just spinning around. So this is really important. I noticed this happened to me early on in my life when friends would ask, "Hey, help us out with this book design project." Okay. Help me out with titles for my video and commercials. Oh, okay. And then what happens to my assignments, to my learning? All I was doing is giving up all my time, which is I have a finite amount of, and it would get to this point in which I was feeling burnt out, I was tired, and I couldn't even do my own work. And that became problematic. So that's what I mean. We want to be able to help people, but not at the price of our own goals. Here's the classic example. You're sitting on an airplane. They tell you this every single time you get on an airplane, is put on your oxygen mask first. If you have a child or an elderly person sitting next to you, you put it on yourself first. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because if you put it on the child and they're struggling, you pass out, you can't help anybody, and you fail in your mission to save your child. Conversely, but if you take care of yourself, you can help out so many other people. So we have to find that balance.
Super interesting reply. So what I get from that is basically lack of focus. If you try to help too many people without thinking about what's the business model behind it, or could you also call it like healthy selfishness, maybe?
Yeah, I think I like that. That's a nice term.
And then the other thought I had, based on what you just said, is that you kind of solved your own problem and then made a business out of it, because you talk about like how do you negotiate better, how do you make a business out of a talent, etc., which is very often the case. If I look into my network, many of the entrepreneurs in my network, they had a problem that they solved and they found like an innovative solution, and then they made a very prosperous business out of it. Is it something that also relies to you, applies to you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to say, I want to say this again. I know that it looks like something else today, but initially it wasn't created for this reason at all. When I got into creating content on YouTube, I was still relatively new to social media. Of course, like everybody, I had a Facebook account, Instagram, and Twitter, but I didn't really do a whole lot with it. And initially what you do with it is it becomes a podium for you to announce your projects, to talk about things that you want to do, and it becomes very self-promotional. So in those early days, the YouTube and how we used it wasn't any different. We created content, mostly designed to sell a product that we were making. My business partner at that time, Jose, and I, we wanted to sell this course we were creating together, and it made a lot of sense. But what happened was it left me with a very empty feeling that we were trying to help people, but it was just a disguise to sell more of our products. So as many influence marketers, what they do is they spend a lot of time talking about the problem, how good the solution is, and then they barely reveal any real information that's useful to anybody to apply. And it's a marketing scheme. And I get that. Well, I wanted to do something different. So I made a pledge to myself and to my partner at that time. I want to create content. I want to help people, no strings attached. And that video started to take off. We're not talking about viral sensation, but we're talking just a slow burn. It got more views, it got more attention, more shares, and people are saying, wow, this is really helpful. And it started to rank higher on the search engine. So this was my first clue. Give generously, give openly, and don't expect anything. And wonderful things can happen.
How do you find the right balance between giving out content for free and then finding this this barrier to upselling a product? Because there's also there's even one guy who goes way further than you do, who's Gary Vaynerchuk, who says, everything is for free, and at the end of the funnel, I just have my agency, which is then looking for Fortune 500 companies and generating revenue through that. So how do you find that balance in what's for free and what's the product that you can sell?
Yeah, I'm probably the worst person to ask this question to, because I'm just here. I'm trying to help people. And there are admittedly many videos that we produce and release onto YouTube for free. There's no ad, there's no campaign, there's nothing connected to it at all. And my team looks at me, it's like, this should be private. This should be behind a paywall. And I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I'm okay. And let me tell you a couple of reasons why I could be in this position saying what it is that I'm doing. I've made a good amount of money. I made more money than I thought I'd ever make, and I can retire today. I live very comfortably in a house. I have everything that I need. And so now what's the rest of my life going to be for? And my wife and I talk about this. We have 2 children, 2 boys. And aside from taking care of them and putting them through university, my obligation to them is over at that point, because I don't want them to think in their lives that I don't have to work. I don't have to achieve anything in my life because I'm going to fall back on whatever money mom and dad are going to give me. I don't want to steal them of their own opportunity to find their own voice and place in the world. So that means, like, what do we need this money for? What are we trying to do? And this is one of those things, like capitalism unchecked can just go nuts, right? It's just acquiring more and more and more. For what reason? And I don't want to rob them of that experience. So now we have to take a look at our lives and say, well, we have enough. What do we want to do with our lives? And it just so happens that this new business model is starting to emerge for me, that I can help a lot of people for not a lot of money, meaning they don't have to pay me a lot to learn. They can learn for free. They can download our resources. They can buy a course if they want to support us. And this is how we do our business. Now, your point about Gary Vaynerchuk, who goes even beyond that, is like, I want nothing from you. I do want to say this. I do have a professional relationship with Gary, but I do want to say this. Like, I would encourage everybody to dive a little bit deeper, because it's not what it appears to be on the surface, okay? Gary has a $100 million agency that is banking on that he's on the cutting edge of social media content marketing. So all of this is promotion for his VaynerMedia company. So please don't look at it like this is an altruistic thing. It's not. He has 12 plus people working for him full-time, just dedicated making content for him. Here's the other thing. He's an influencer, speaker, and author, and he also sells wines and wine subscriptions. And when he does sponsored deals where he's selling sneakers, guess what? So let's just be very clear about that, okay? Nobody is doing it 100% altruistically, and we have to just be a little bit smarter. Not even me. I'm not doing it for 100% free either.
Like, it wasn't an insult at all. I was just interested, because I understand the business model behind Gary Vaynerchuk's companies. And I just thought, like, honestly, to build a personal brand that then at the end of the funnel is an agency, which of course, like, he's not altruistic. I mean, he wants to buy the nets, the jets, not the nets.
Yeah, the jets. Yeah.
So I mean, that's you can't get there by being altruistic. So you just mentioned your team. How big is your team actually, and how much content do you still do yourself?
Yeah, my team, I think we're 12 people full-time staff in one location and 3 people offsite that are working either part-time, full-time for us. So total of 15 people, I believe.
Okay. And I noticed that you recently changed your strategy and now allow guest authors to post on your Instagram, which is quite an interesting concept. Actually, to be honest with you, I haven't seen it before, so I would be interested in, like, did you come up with that idea, or did you see it somewhere else and got inspired? And do you plan to continue with that? What are results also for the guest authors?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting question. So I will take full responsibility or blame for doing the guest posting, and I'll tell you the origins of it and what's happened since then. Okay, as you know, creating content all the time can be a full-time consumption. It's a full-time job for you to do it if you do it really well. When I was coaching my group, I said, let's all set a 2-week goal. And my goal was to grow my account by X number of followers. And I just did the math that it required a lot of posting and hopefully a lot of follows per post. So I spent a good 2 weeks solid just making content every single day. And I learned a lot from that. But as we all know, it's like if you go on a crash diet or an exercise program that's insane, you cannot maintain it. And it's unmaintainable. And I want to be very upfront and clear about that. When I was telling people I was posting 2, 3, 4 times a day, writing carousels, you cannot sustain that. It's impossible for a regular person, especially if you have other obligations. Along the way, I've been thinking about something. And I thought that a person who works for me, his name is Greg Gunn. He launched a color course, and I just thought that he had a really unique way of teaching people. And I was thinking, you know what, selfishly, if I help him to promote, and I want to grow my team's Instagram following, of course, because the greater influence we have collectively, the better and stronger we are. I said, write me a quick thing. Just teach me one tip about color, and I'll post it. And then we'll also mention that it's from you and grow your following, but we'll also talk about that there's a course that they can buy for color correction. I want to see him succeed. And I was a little nervous about it because I thought, look, everybody's coming to my Instagram feed for me, and they're going to feel like, wait, what is going on here? You're posting somebody else's content. You're a sellout. It's promotional. So I was really nervous about this. So Greg creates this carousel, and I think it's wonderful. I learned something from it, and I share it. And I want to be very honest with you. For the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I was just on pins and needles thinking there's going to be a backlash. I'll delete it. I'll apologize, and we'll move on. But here's the weird thing. The exact opposite thing happened. It has now become my most liked, highest performing post ever. That post has earned me over 4,500 follows on one post, which is like mind blowing if you think about it, because it took me almost a year and a half to get to 4,500 follows on Instagram. So that one post has earned that. It's helped his account. And so it started to open up this door. Now people saw that and they naturally asked, what does it take to do a guest post? And I opened just the idea up and I'm like, okay, if you guys want to do a guest post, here's what I want from you. It has to be high quality, it has to fit within. So then all of a sudden people start submitting me things. Most of them are terrible, let's just be honest, because they're not even trying to follow the guidelines and they're just trying to promote themselves. But the ones that are good enough, I share, and the results have been really wonderful. For some people, it's helped them to grow their followers by 10 times. One person in particular went from 2,500 follows to 25,000. And he said he got 2 job offers, nailed one of them, and is now working full-time at another company. And incredible. I was thinking, you know, if I can help somebody and help myself at the same time, this is a double thank you moment. I thank them for the content and writing and doing the research. And they also then thank me for shining a little spotlight on their little world and helping them to get that necessary jump.
Great. Let me tell you that you also inspired me, because I also started doing carousels.
Mm-hmm.
But
as you should, yes.
Yes, but I think there are like 3 people involved to get there. You know, the goal is to really post every day. We do have a script, because it's basically based on a TikTok account. We're going to talk about that later. And then we're going to take out the script that we have for the TikTok account. So we're saving there a lot of time, and then changing a bit for Instagram using your AIDA formula, and then recycling it for Instagram. And I think we just posted yesterday or today for the first time, and let's see how far we get with 1 post per day. But that's thanks to you. I also did a video about it, by the way, on YouTube, where I just presented the AIDA formula, of course, like quoting you and putting credits on you, and posted about it on LinkedIn. So a lot of people were really thankful for it. And there were at least like 10 people who wrote me after that and thanked me. And I was like, don't thank me, thank Chris Doe. You know, I mentioned him. But it's really funny. Like, it's such an obvious concept, and still so many people don't apply it. But I guess why, I mean, it's obvious why. You just repeat it. It takes a lot of resources. So I think that's always the balance that you have to find. Regarding your mission, you're stating that you want to have an impact on 1 billion lives. So,
Yes.
I mean, 1 billion is quite a big number. It's like, how
Right.
much, like 12.5% of the population of the world, and a lot of them don't speak English. So this is going to be quite a challenge.
It is.
Like, let's be honest, like, is it more a catchy phrase, like at least a part of it? I know that you have a lot of impact, but it is something that is almost impossible to reach, but it just sounds nice, and it's something that is such a nice goal that you can motivate yourself and your team? Or do you really think you can do that one day when you're like 70, sitting on your bench, looking back?
Yeah, a great question. So let's have a real honest conversation about this. I think it's important to have a big, hairy, audacious goal, something that's going to push you, to challenge you, to break your systems, because it forces you to look at every endeavor that you take, to be honest with yourself, to say, is this getting me closer to that, or we're going to help 4 people at a time? Is this going to help 4,000 people or 4 people? And then we make decisions based on that. Why the number 1 billion? I think currently it's like 8 point something billion people on planet Earth. So that's a pretty big percentage of that population. Let me talk about that. If I say I want to help 1 million people, the goal is not hard enough. I could help them maybe even tomorrow at this point, right? Because you've quoted some of our numbers or following. So if I count each one of those people as somebody that I've helped in some way, then I've already gotten there. And if you say, well, then the number should be 334 million, it's so arbitrary. So the thing about mission statements is you need to have something that's simple, that's repeatable, that's memorable, and that's why it's the 1 billion. It makes a nice hashtag, and I know that probably in my lifetime, I probably will not be able to achieve that, but it's a goal worth fighting for, and that's what's really important. Then the next question is, how do you count this? So it's like, this is going to be funny math, isn't it? Well, here's how I look at it. My teachers and the teachers before them and the teachers before them can take the credit for everything that I've done, because it's knowledge that's shared and handed down from generation to generation. So what I look at it is like, if I help you and you broadcast this message out to 10,000 people and they listen to this very episode and they have a new idea, they find different direction or purpose or meaning in their life, then I would count them too, even though officially I don't have a way to do that. All of a sudden, people started asking me, Chris, maybe we should build an official counter, like a way to keep track of this. And I thought, okay, it didn't really matter to me, because I'll know, like when I'm old and ready to die, it's like, yeah, we're halfway there to that goal, and that's what we did. But they said, like, why don't we just have a simple counter? Like every time, like at amusement park, somebody walks through, you click it and it becomes 1. This has to be voluntary. So we created this little program on our website that if you feel like you've been impacted by the mission, what we're doing, put in your name, and then you claim a unique number, and the number keeps getting bigger. We're about to hit 10,000. So we're hoping that maybe by the end of the year, it could be 30, 40,000, and we'll keep doing this. Now, of course, I think we're helping way more people than what's going to click, because people don't want to go to a website. They don't want to put in their name. They want to hold a number. But here's my thing. Here's my challenge. I want to be able to deliver in excess of value that somebody is going to get overcome their disdain for giving emails out, that they're willing to do this and they're proud to share it. Like, I am number 454. I am number 2037, whatever it is. And they share it so proudly. And it warms my heart.
Great idea. And let me tell you, I think you're getting there actually, because if you just thought about, like, if you think about, you posted a video, I saw it, I posted it on my LinkedIn, I made a video about it, like
Right.
even quoting you and giving credits to you. And then this video was, I think that was my actually most successful YouTube video. So that was already like small 4-digit amount of views. And I'm sure they're gonna tell it to someone. I'm sure they're gonna, like, people told me, like, look at my Instagram, I changed it because of you or Chris Doe,
Right.
etc. So I think it's doable. Like, you do
It
have
is doable.
some exponential growth there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
If
great.
I'm allowed to count non-direct influence, then yes, we can get there. If it has to be direct, I don't know. But you know what? Steve Jobs, at one point when he was launching the iPhone, he said, our goal is to sell 1 billion iPhones. And I was thinking, dude, you are crazy. You're crazy. How long is it going to take? Then they hit 100 million. I'm like, wow, I think it might. And then they've already sold 1 billion iPhones at this point. So it is possible.
Yeah, I think it is. And actually, like, if you just get this counter to 1 million, you can be sure that the multiplier on it will be something between 500 to 1,000. So you already made it. So let's dive a bit deeper into your content marketing strategy. Your growth on all social media channels except TikTok, because you don't have content there, is quite impressive. Can you quantify how much you actually pay per month just for free content?
How much I pay?
Yes, how much, like, not only you, but your team, the future, etc., all the content that you put out. Do you have like a counter on that?
No, when you say you pay, like I have a team of 12 people and like I said, 3 people offsite that is burning money every single day in terms of like the rent, the computers, the insurance, healthcare, all that kind of stuff. If you say that, then you could take that number and you can divide it by however many outlets that, in terms of content we create. But here's the reality of it is that the majority of the people that are on staff actually don't produce content for us. They help to run the business. So Ben and his marketing team, they make sure we have money so that we can pay everybody's salary. And then Monica, who runs our books, is like, Chris, these are the numbers. This is what we're looking at. So it's mostly me, and there are 4 guys on my team who create the content. So they're basically editing, repurposing, and then we have one person who does social media. She handles the Future's Instagram account. So she's scraping and doing things and also running ad campaigns for us. So there's a relatively small percentage. The question maybe is like how much content we could realistically produce if it was just me and people working off site and not running a business, then the number wouldn't be that high in terms of the expense, because I read books, I talk to people. That's usually where all the content comes from.
True. Yeah. Do you have a favorite social media platform? Is it like one community that you feel most connected to?
I like both Instagram. Well, okay. I like Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn very much.
Okay, well,
Twitter's so hard.
That's okay.
Twitter is so
you
hard,
just
yeah.
get Twitter out of the way, and the rest is.
Well, I love Twitter too, but it's just so hard to grow. People just don't follow you unless you're like super funny or famous or something. It's very hard. It's taken me forever. And right now, I just recently crossed 50,000 followers on Twitter, and I've earned every single one of them.
I'm sure
It's
you did.
so hard.
And what platform are you interacting most with your audience in terms of
I'm
comments and replying back?
All of them. It's a full-time endeavor. If you make a comment, you send me a message on Instagram, and it's becoming harder for me to keep up with this. And I could open up my inbox and just like there's 100 messages. Slowly, I just chip through it a little bit at a time. And it's usually, I also read most of the comments on YouTube on both our channels and on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, I'm super interested in personal brands. And did you ever try to quantifying the value of your brand? Not talking about the future, talking about like Chris Do. If I ask you like how you would quantify your personal brand, because it does have a value and it's very hard to quantify that. What would you reply? Like if you would have to give it a number?
I would say it's priceless. I have no idea. I have no idea how to answer that question in any real way. I do know this though. Over time, as we grow our influence and the audience who shows up for us, I have more leverage when it comes to getting paid for public speaking or running workshops. When I announce something that I'm working on, like my book, people do show up, and it's a nice feeling that you've given out and people feel it, and then they'll give back. But I'll tell you something, and not a lot of people know this. People send me money randomly all the time. On I put out my Venmo account, and then somebody sent me $100 the other day. I was like, wow, especially right now with COVID and everybody's like unsure of their future. You're doing this now? Like what? And then other people are pledging it. It's like, you just helped me do X number of dollars for this thing. I'm going to return that money to you. And I think, okay, I'm glad that you will. And it's an honor policy because there's no way for me to hold you to it. There's no contract that was signed. And so that's how you know you're doing something right in the world. People are giving you money. People are giving you their email addresses. I don't run campaigns to get that. People just give it. And that means that if you look at some kind of formula there, how much do you have to give out in the world before somebody gives something back to you? Maybe it's 10 to 1, maybe it's 100 to 1, or maybe 100,000 to 1. I do not know. But the fact is there are people out there who become sustaining members with no tangible benefits except for to say that we want to see this move forward. And people who are dropping money just as a donation, no, there's nothing I ship to you. You don't get stickers. You don't get a shout out. It's just that they just do it because they want to reciprocate the value that they receive from you. And I'm very grateful for that, because without them, I wouldn't have a team. I wouldn't be able to continue this at the scale in which I want to do this, because the future, when we're 100 people doing what it is that we're doing today, the kind of impact that we're going to have on society, culture, and education is going to be tremendous.
Quite impressive. Let me tell you something personal. I just started giving out as well a lot of content. So we wrote a book about TikTok. It's called the TikTok Bible. And it's like, I think I can't say without sounding arrogant, it's by far the best book about TikTok so far. 200 pages, very high quality design. I think you would love it. Our designers love you, by the way. And
I would love to get it.
yeah, it's in German. You wouldn't get it, but I'll still like to have
Oh,
to give you a feeling for the design. It would be really interesting.
yeah.
Do we have it here somewhere? The TikTok Bible? I just like, but anyway, we got it here. So let's see whether you like it or you can be honest. Is it enough light? So that's the cover, and that's.
Oh, okay. I can barely see it. It's very
I'll send you.
compressed. Yeah. Okay.
I'll send you the PDF. But
Okay. Cool.
we took a lot of love into it, and so what happened in the last weeks is quite like for me it's also quite impressive. Of course, not on your level, but still like people they take the effort, they put their effort into sending me a video on Instagram, like a 90-second or 2-minute video, where they thank me for putting out content. And like I'm the real deal. I'm one of the few marketers who don't think about making money, but I just give it out for free, which is really my belief because of people like you and Gary Vee. There are not so many people I look up to, but yeah, like you're one of those two, Gary Vee and you. But anyway, but I have to tell you, and this is very personal, that it also feels like pressure. That now I have to continue to do that. I want to continue to do that, but I have to perform. Like it feels like a burden. And I'm thinking about how do you handle that? Do you have the same feeling, or can you just, did you get over that level?
I think in everything in your life, there's a couple ways to look at something. When you create something that has impact to people, you think, oh God, now there's a responsibility and a burden. Or you can say, I get to have that responsibility and burden. And I look at it like this is an opportunity. That the fact that we live in such a wonderful time and place that somebody like me, who's a first generation immigrant to the United States from a former communist country, or communist, not former, and be able to have the platform that I have. I'm approaching 50 years old, that I can do this and talk to young people and to reach out to people like you across the ocean. This is a wonderful time.
It is.
Right? And if you just rewind the tape 10, 15, 20 years ago, when the networks weren't there in terms of the platforms, the internet connection isn't there, who can I help? I can help a couple of people down in the neighborhood, people that are conveniently located near me, but that's about it, right? Otherwise, I write books, and then the transmission of the message is slow, it's cumbersome, and it's expensive. I get to do this, and I wake up every single day super excited, thinking about what can I give the world today? And it's just, there's an endless amount of things. So it will take me until I'm old and gray and forgetful and nearly dead for it to be like, oh, I think I'm done.
I think it will be tough for you to get gray because you're bold, right?
There are other areas that can turn gray.
True.
Yes.
But thanks a lot for that reply. It really helps me. So last question, actually, because I really appreciate you took 30 minutes for me, so I don't want to overdo that. I already mentioned your TikTok account and that you don't have any content yet. How come? And what do you think about TikTok in general? And maybe another thing, do you think TikTok can really compete with Instagram in the long run, or even become bigger one day?
Yes. Okay. Why don't I have more activity on TikTok? The few times that I've been on it, I can't figure out the interface. I think it's designed purposely to make it confusing for old people like me. So there's that part. And I keep trying. I'm back on it. How do I find this one video again? It's just seems like it's not made for me. I get that. My son's on it all the time. The other thing is, it's just a division of time. I believe in the law of focus, right? How many things can I do well in my life? If I want to do well on LinkedIn, which I think is important to us, on Instagram and on YouTube, there's still Facebook and Twitter that I'm managing and trying to make a dent still. It becomes just a dispersion of energy. And I think for a lot of people, TikTok is all the rave because, hey, the other platforms are established. Maybe you can't crack that formula. So TikTok represents this whole brand new area, this frontier. Besides dancing and singing videos, maybe you could do something to teach people. Fantastic. And I applaud anybody who wants to do it. Here are some of my concerns about TikTok. TikTok is the first social media company that's not a United States born company. And I wonder and I worry a little bit about how, for example, some of your data is stored, how it's shared, how it's distributed, how it's tracked. But more importantly, how much the algorithm is gaming so that you can feel like you're making a dent in the world. That is because it's like the same rules of conducting your business in your life may or may not be adhered to from another company. And I don't want to throw shade on anybody. I don't have any facts or figures or anything like that. I just wonder about that. So what people are looking for is instant fame, instant influence, and a platform that gives it to you so easily like that. It makes me just a little hesitant, just a little bit. I'm not saying we're not in it, because one of my producers, he's helping to post content on TikTok. He's trying to figure it out. people like you are trying to figure it out. And so eventually when it becomes a thing that it's going to become, I think, which is this monster, then I have to stop and say, look, are the priorities that we're having correct? Are we putting them where they need to be? And right now, between YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I think I have what I think are my 3 most important platforms right now.
Yeah, a lot of very true words in what you just said. I just want to challenge one thing, which is like,
Yes.
There was let me give you one example. There was a very, very impressive challenge, and this is not exaggerating. I was really having tears in my eyes when I saw it. It was the Denim Day challenge on TikTok on the 30th of April. Do you know about the Denim Day?
Nope.
It was like in the 90s in Italy. There was a girl who got raped, and she went to trial, and the judge really argued that it could not have happened to her. She couldn't be raped because her jeans were too tight, and it's impossible to rip them off. So that's a true story that happened in Italy. Of course, it led to a scandal, to a huge scandal, and they invented this Denim Day till today. It's also a thing in the US. So people show the piece of clothes that they were wearing on the day where they got abused, and show it into the camera and talk about it. A lot of them talk about it for the first time. And that got viral, of course, with more than 100 million views. So my only thing is like the background about TikTok and data, etc. I respect that a lot, and there's nothing to say against that. I'm actually surprised that you argue that, because I have the feeling that in the US it's not such a big thing like in Europe. But anyway, I respect that. Mm-hmm. But regarding the fame, I think it's always what you make out of it. There's always a way of using that reach and using a platform for good things, like the Denim Day. Yes. And there are plenty of other accounts that are really, really, really impressive. They talk about all kinds of good stuff, even on TikTok. So, and since you have a great mission, and I completely underline or can emphasize with everything you said and your mission, I think you could use it for good. But only if you feel comfortable with data and everything else behind that. And one last thing I want to say: if you really want to do TikTok, since I'm the TikTok expert in Germany, you can get as many coaching hours as you want. And I'm quite expensive.
I appreciate that.
I'm really expensive. I just doubled my hourly rate for the last 3 weeks every week. But you get as much as you want, just to offer that.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I do want to say this, and everybody, okay, there's 2 parts to the story. I don't think you're pushing back actually very hard, because I actually agree with you. I want to clarify something here. So a lot of people are like, what's the new gold rush? And they rush in there. And that's one set of motivation. The thing that I'm suspicious of is the platform's accurate reporting on their own analytics. I'm not questioning necessarily the people who are rushing in, because where opportunity is, you go towards. I get that. And we know that if you show people like crazy metrics, like you just gained 20,000 followers today without doing a lot of work, that I'm like, really? What are how do we count these followers? How do we know? And that's where I think sometimes these platforms can juice their metrics to excite people, right? And the same thing could be said about LinkedIn or any other platform where you all of a sudden get some explosive growth. I believe that this game of influence and trying to be an authority on a space requires work. And young people who have very little experience and have very little knowledge, who rush in to do this on, well, what really you're going to be an influencer today, huh? Like, okay, what's going to happen there? So I like that platform. I like all platforms. I just, like said, it's a law of concentration. I need to focus on a couple. And everybody that used to say like, oh yeah, Snap is where it's at. Everybody on Snap. I tried Snap too. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know how to use it. And now nobody's talking about Snap anymore.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that TikTok is on a way, way different level. If you think about like last quarter.
You think so?
It is, yeah. Like it gained 300 million monthly active users in the last quarter only. That's the biggest growth any social platform had ever, even bigger than Facebook and Instagram back in the day. So that's really impressive. So I really think it's on quite a different level than TikTok. And regarding how real the traffic actually is, I can give you we're also working with data. We're actually crawling TikTok data. And there are some reasons that, like, I think some numbers are a bit exaggerated, especially in the live stream. But if some people link from their TikTok to their Instagram, and you can measure that, and now you can also post a link on your TikTok, so you can also measure that, and the numbers are quite impressive. So I would disagree there a bit as well. But anyway, if you ever feel like doing TikTok, getting into it, give me a call. I'd be happy to help you.
I gotta tell you something. I get so much flack from people who say like, you're not on this, and no, I'm not. And they're like, well, shut up, you're not worth listening to. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I can only do so much in so many platforms, right? Like right now, you had said you're doing YouTube content. To climb the YouTube hill is another battle in itself, and it's going to require a lot of your focus and attention and energy if that's where you want to grow.
I agree.
And this is the thing, right? Like you're the general, you have your armies, and where will you station them in the world? And eventually you spread yourself so thin that the little bit of attack can destroy you. And I just want to make sure I'm fortifying here. I'm still trying to figure out the YouTube game. I'm still trying to grow my Instagram account and figure out like, what the heck do I do with LinkedIn? I just don't know.
Wait, man, you got it to 230,000 followers.
I didn't even know.
You must have.
I gotta be honest.
Right.
I did not even know.
Number 3 in Germany. I'm repeating myself here.
Wow.
One last like maybe tip for your advice. What you could do on TikTok, and it wouldn't take a lot of time. You could really get like an intern, just recycle what you have, because you have so much high quality content that you can just cut it into max 1 minute, upload it, and trust me, good things will happen. I give that recommendation to a lot of people, and they grew like crazy, because it's, as Gary Vee, and I guess you would argue the same, it's always about underpriced attention. And right now, TikTok is a lot of underpriced attention. So you don't even have to do something native for TikTok, just recycle it, and you're gonna be fine.
I could do that. Maybe one of these days I'm gonna call you up and you're just gonna show me the interface, because it's embarrassing, but I barely know how to use Instagram too. People are like always like, Chris, did you know you could push this button? I'm like, oh my God. So I'm just like so old school in this. I gotta be honest, I'm so old school that I just try to focus on making really great content. I barely know how to use hashtags and everything else that you're supposed to be doing. I barely know how to do it.
You do a great job in doing good content.
I appreciate
Chris,
that.
Thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it. And talk to you on LinkedIn.
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Let me maybe do one picture for Instagram, if that's cool for you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I can just post that
You screen capture?
Yeah, screen captured everything. By the way, to our media guy, we can send you the content if you want to use it. I don't know. It depends on how valuable you think it is.
Oh, you mean this thing?
Yeah, of course. If you want,
When you're done, please share it with me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even put it on camera, so we can even send you because I captured that, and I also captured the.
All right.
Okay, so one picture.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Chris. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Really, really appreciate it.
Okay, man.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.